Hi guys, this is Loz here, and I wanted to do another Shadowverse introduction video for someone that's coming from Hearthstone. So in this video, I'm going to basically go over all the different classes and the different game modes, and also go over some of the finer details that I might have missed in the last video. Okay, so let's look at the different game modes to begin with. So we've got solo modes. We've actually got like a storyline. And we've got the practice mode that I did in the previous video, where you basically fight AI. So let's have a look at the story mode. So each class, and there's 7 classes in Shadowverse, has a different storyline. Within the storyline there's 8 different missions. It basically goes through a very generic like anime free-to-play storyline. I mean, I didn't really like it very much. It's just very boring. Some ominous presence has kidnapped people, and there's some shades going around killing people, and there's some mysterious element. It's a very vague, generic storyline, but it's a storyline nonetheless. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you'll like it. There's, like I said, there's one for each class. Once you clear them, you get rewards and things like that, so it's definitely worth doing. But I mean, in my opinion, the storyline is not particularly good. So there's that. There's multiplayer mode. So you can play unranked, which is basically casual mode in Hearthstone. You can play ranked, which is basically ladder, or you can play private, which is basically playing against one of your friends. Now, a very good thing about Shadowverse is that private, you can also play the arena mode, which is called Take 2, which is very, very good. So if you want to play, you can basically play arena against someone in a private match. So you both draft with an arena deck and fight each other on one battle, and it's very, very, very good addition to the game. I wish they'd added this to Hearthstone. So let's move on to arena. Now, from the look of this screen, I imagine they're going to make more than one arena mode, but currently there's only one called Take 2. So like Hearthstone, this costs 150 rupees to enter, but you can also get these tickets to enter, basically via free entry, and you get quite a lot of these through doing the campaign. But it's basically equivalent to 150 rupees, but you can only use it to enter Take 2. Another thing that you can pay with is crystals. Now, since this is a free-to-play game, there are obviously pay-to-win elements in the game. So like Hearthstone, you can buy packs. In this game, they use the model that they use in a lot of other free-to-play games, where you buy some kind of intermediary currency with real money. In this case, it's crystals, and then you buy stuff with crystals. So one crystal is essentially the same as 1 rupee for all intents and purposes. So you can either pay with 150 rupees, or you can pay with 150 crystals. So arena mode in this game works a little differently to arena mode in Hearthstone. So I'll start a new arena now just to show you. So like Hearthstone, you pick a class. I'm going to pick Bloodcraft. So unlike Hearthstone, when you pick the best out of 3, in this game you pick the best pair. So you get given 2 pairs, and you pick whichever pair you think is the best. So quite a lot of times you'll have to pick a crap card. So say you've got a really, really, really strong card, but the sacrifice is that you've got a really bad card with it. And on the other side you've got 2 medium cards, or maybe you've got 2 really strong cards, or you've got 2 really weak cards. So sometimes it's an obvious pick. So if you've got 2 really good cards and 2 really bad cards, sometimes it's a bit of a trade-off. Sometimes you've got to pick a bad card to get the good card. So like in this case, this is probably the best card in arena, because it boosts you up to 3 evolution points again that you can then, and it resets it so you can then evolve again on that turn, which is extremely powerful for arena, because arena is entirely tempo. So this is probably one of the best cards in arena, so I'm most likely going to pick this. Noble Fairy, change the defense of all enemies follows to 1 if at least 2 cards are played this turn, so that's quite situational. Stats are okay. They're pretty on par. doesn't do anything when it evolves. It's not a particularly good card, it's not a particularly bad card, so probably most likely going to pick this. Myrddin is pretty powerful for Arena. Banish an enemy follower or amulet. His stats are pretty bad, but his effect is extremely powerful. So he's pretty good. He's not as good as Olivia, but he's pretty good. Runester Roach. This is a staple card currently in Constructed. Doesn't really hold up that well in Arena because basically you need some kind of combo engine to power it up, and then it becomes very powerful. So it's not great. So this is a not great card. This is an okay card. This isn't probably the best card in the Arena. This is a very, very powerful card. So I'm probably going to pick this one. So I'll pick this one. And then you get another choice. You keep going through this until you've filled up your deck with 30 cards. You can view your deck. You can view your curve, whatever. So yeah, that's Arena. It's very interesting. It's different to Hearthstone. I expect they'll probably add different modes. I'll probably add a Hearthstone clone mode in. It's very interesting. Another thing is, in this mode, you play 5 matches. So it's not like Hearthstone where you go up to 12 and once you lose 3 times you're out. This time you play 5 matches no matter what. You could lose all 5 in a row, but you always play 5 matches. Then your reward is dependent on how many wins you get out of those 5. Generally you break even at around 2.5. So say if you get an even amount of 3s and 2s, your average is 2.5, you'll most likely break even, so your average will be around 50 gold. In this mode you can go infinite, but it's very, very hard, because even if you get 4 wins out of 5, generally it's less than 150 rupees will be your reward. So you'll get 130, maybe you'll get 150, sometimes you might get 160, but your reward won't consistently be over 150. And 4 wins is quite hard to get anyway. To average 4 wins is quite difficult. Even if you manage it, you're still not going to be infinite. You're going to be virtually infinite, but you're not going to be infinite. If you get 5 wins, you go way over. You get you get over 200 gold. If you go over 5 wins, so 5 wins is very strong. 3 wins is about 50 to 90 gold, somewhere in that region. 2 wins and below is very poor rewards. If you get less than 3, you're not even breaking even. It's going to be very poor for you. So you only really want to play this mode if you can average 3, 4, 5 wins. Otherwise you might as well just buy packs. If you get 0 wins, you still get a pack, but you don't get any rewards. So very worst case scenario, you're paying 150 gold for a pack. So it is generally worth doing, but obviously the better you like Hearthstone, the better you are, the more you're going to make out of it. The only difference is you can't go infinite in this. You can go quasi-infinite, where if you only play like 3 or 4 of these a day, you'll probably generate enough gold to pay for the entry fees every day, so you can go infinite that way. But it's very, 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 it's almost impossible. You'd have to average 5, like a lot, to go infinite in this game mode. So that's one downside. So you have the shop. You can customize your card backs, you can buy sleeves, and you can buy leaders, like you can in Hearthstone. You can buy packs. In this game you get tickets to buy packs, which you get through Arena, you can unlock through doing achievements and things like that. Or you can buy them with rupees, 100 rupees, or you can buy them with the currency crystals, 100 crystals. Crystals are quite expensive in this game. So you can see the $79 for 5,000 crystals. So the lowest price is $2 a pack. But packs are much bigger in this game. Packs in this game have got 8 cards in them. And also the likelihood of you getting legendaries and things like that is a lot more forgiving in this game. So packs in general are, if you disenchant everything, including animated, are about 470 vials. So compare that to 100 vials for a Hearthstone pack and you see you get a lot more value out of packs in this game. Now there is, as of making this video, an expansion that came out recently, Darkness Evolved. They're probably going to bring out expansions every couple of months. This uses different tickets, that's one thing to note, but the prices are the same. Yeah. So let's look at a home page. So in this game you've got missions like in Hearthstone. So you get roughly 3 missions a day, which is quite good. You generally make more money and more rupees in this game than you get gold in Hearthstone. You can also replace a mission every 21 hours as opposed to the 24 hours of Hearthstone, so it's very slightly marginally better. You get achievements. You can actually see the achievements in this game, unlike Hearthstone. The achievements for doing things like win 5 rank matches is this class, reach level 50 is this class, and you get all these achievements. You get all these rewards, so it's quite good. Win 200 rank matches you get 30 rupees, that's a bit poor because 200 rank matches is quite a lot. 200 take 2 matches you get 200 rupees, that's quite good. So yeah, you can see all these achievements. Now, achievements that I would highly recommend doing when you first start out are, like in Hearthstone, when you beat all the AI you get quite a big reward. On this you get 200 rupees per defeating a class on AI. That's very high. So if you defeat all 7 you get 1400 rupees, and as you saw in the last video they are extremely easy to beat. So I'd highly recommend doing that as soon as possible. You also get score rewards. Now, when you play ranked mode, you basically get a score which is similar to your ELO or your rank. Every time you win, you get roughly 100. If you get a win streak, you get an extra 50. Every time you lose somewhere up to 100. Usually in the lower ranks, you only lose like 30, 40. This is the accumulated score for each season. So you see I've gained 10,238 score this season. That doesn't take into account the amount we've lost this season. So say I've probably lost 200-300 of that or something over the games I've played, whereas I've gained 10,000. You get different rewards, so they get slightly better as you go on. So you see they start with sleeves and you get 30 rupees, 50 vials. You get a pack of 20,000. You get a different an expansion pack at 30,000, blah 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 blah, all the way down to 100,000, and you get 5 packs at 100,000. Now 100,000 is very hard to get. It's roughly 1,000 games. Best case scenario is 666 games because of the win streak. So it's a lot of games in the season, a lot of wins, sorry, in the season. To get this, so it's very hard to get, especially considering the entire grind up to Masters rank is, which is the equivalent of Legend rank in Hearthstone, is 50,000. So it's like grinding up to Masters rank twice the equivalent score. I mean, so it's very hard to hit this, but it's still a nice little incentive that you get. You get rewards, and it encourages you to do ranked mode, which is quite nice. So I mean, let's look at ranked mode. So on ranked mode you have different ranks. So you have a beginner rank. This is equivalent to less than rank 20. I'm not sure if you can even lose rank at this rank. You can lose rating at this rank. This is obviously where all the newbies are going to be, so it's basically less than rank 20 in Hearthstone. So as you can see, each rank you have different levels. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you have D, C, B, A, AA, and then you have Master rank. So within each rank, you can drop down a level, and you can go up a level, but once you're in that rank, you can never leave that rank. As far as it is in the game currently. So say if I hit C rank and I just lose constantly all the way down to C0, I can never drop back down into D rank. It's the same all the way up. Once you're in that tier or that rank, you're there forever. Currently, there's no reset. which is a good thing and a bad thing. I personally prefer it to the way they do it in Hearthstone. The grind is a lot harder in this game, i.e. getting to legend in this game requires you to play a lot more games than Hearthstone, but then again it doesn't reset, so it's easier to hit than Hearthstone, but it gives you kind of an achievement, and it gives you a skill level. You know that people that you play in AA rank are going to be very strong players. You know that people that you play in D rank are going to be very poor players, so you don't get people dropping down from Master, smashing newbies in the lower ranks like you do in Hearthstone. So it's a lot better in that regard. Personally, it's a lot more forgiving to new players. The Master rank is reset each season, so you go back to 0 points, and you get a separate Master ranking once you hit it. So yeah, that's how the rank system works. So this is the profile screen that I went on to view the ranks. It's quite nice that you get an actual profile that people can see, so you get a little picture, you get to put where you're from. So I'm British, so I've got Britain. You have a flair, so you unlock these by doing certain things. I haven't unlocked many of them yet, so I unlock that from beating the storyline, so you put that under your name. I just tend to like the default one. You get a user ID, so this is my user ID. If anyone wants to add me, they can send a request using this user ID. You get to change your emblem, as I said, and flag. It also tracks all your wins, it tracks your score, so you see I'm in C3 rank at the moment, so I'm not very high up. Still 10,000 score, so it's taken me 85 wins to get to C3 rank. So you can see the grind is reasonably long. So I mean, if I'm putting this into a Hearthstone term, so like I said, this is less than rank 20, so this is the beginner zone. This is probably around 20 to 15, something like that. This is probably around 15 to 5, something like that, that sort of level. This is 5 to legend. Well, actually, this is probably more like 5 to legend. Sorry, these two, because once you go above B3 rank, you don't get win streak bonus anymore. So once you make it into A0, you no longer get win streak bonus. So technically, this is more like 5 to legend in Hearthstone. These two ranks, and then obviously Master is like legend rank. So that's all the different game modes. Let's go and have a look at the storyline to go over the different classes. So, in this game, there are 7 classes. They're all pretty unique. Some of them are similar to Hearthstone classes, some of them are nothing like Hearthstone classes. As with Hearthstone, class cards can only be played within that class. Another good thing in this game is that there are neutral spells, so there are like board wipes and very like destruction spells, execution spells, very basic spells that are shared across all classes. So all classes have access to these abilities, which is a very useful thing. I mean, they may not be the most optimal, but at least you have access to them, which is very powerful and is very good, I think. So let's look at the first class. This is Forestcraft. The girl that you get is Arisa, who's basically the avatar of this class, the default avatar. So this class has cards that fill your hand with lots of low-cost fairy followers. This makes it easier to play multiple cards in one turn and activate other Forestcraft cards' abilities, giving you more power. So, as we saw in the last video, I think there was a card that generated a fairy follower. So a lot of the cards in this class will generate these little 1/1 fairies. Basically, it's like the coin in Hearthstone. You want to use it as a combo generator. So you'll have a lot of cards in this class that say play a certain number of cards and do this effect. So this is very much the rogue of Shadowverse. It's very similar to rogue in that a lot of your spells and abilities and minions combo well off of each other. It's got a combo mechanic. the actual that's the class mechanic basically. Another thing that I didn't mention in the previous video is that the maximum hand size in this game is 9 rather than 10. So once you get more than 9 cards, your extra card is burned, just like in Hearthstone. So this class will generally fill their hand up with lots and lots of little 1/1s, so you have to pay attention to your hand size quite carefully. So these will generally draw through their deck and activate some kind of combo based on having lots of fairies in their hand, and win the game that way. Another thing in this game is that once you hit fatigue, so you've run out of cards, you instantly lose. It's like Magic the Gathering. There's no fatigue damage, you just lose outright. When you go to draw a card from your deck and there isn't a card there, you just lose the game. So you have to be very careful about drawing through your deck in this game. Fortunately, it's a very fast-paced game, so it's quite rare that this happens, but that's another thing I didn't mention in the previous video. So that's Forestcraft. It's very similar to Rogue. The actual theme of the class is about fairies and forests, so it's probably more similar to like Druid, but the actual gameplay is Rogue. Move on to the next class. This is Swordcraft. The avatar is Erica. This class has cards that summon other followers such as 1/1 knights. These followers are officers which can be strengthened by commanders. Play them alongside each other to gain an advantage in battle. So this is the class that I demonstrated in the previous video. The mechanic of this class is that you have these different followers. That's like tribes, so they're into the officer tribe or the commander tribe, and they do different effects based on what tribe each other are in. So it's hard to map this to Hearthstone, but it's, if you imagine like Beast Tribe in Hunter or Beast Tribe in Druid, it's very similar to like Token Druid kind of playstyle. You generate a lot of tokens and you buff them. It's that sort of playstyle. So this is like the token class of the game. It's very interesting, it's a very unique mechanic. So you have to really pay attention to what tribe your minions are from and if you can buff all the minions and stuff. Because one thing in this game, if you have something that's got a fanfare effect that's like give 1/1 to an officer, if you go to play it and there's no officers on the board, it will just play it, it won't give you any confirmation. It will just play it on the board, so you have to be really sure that you've got the minion on the board to play it, or it won't even give you the option, it will just play the minion vanilla, which I've done quite a few times and it's very annoying. So yeah, that's Swordcraft. Now, this class, Runecraft, which is the lovely Isabel here, she's the reason why this is called Waifuverse quite a lot, and this has caused quite a lot of controversy. So as you can see, yeah, in the original Japanese version, this little like cover-up garment here doesn't exist, so she's got a huge cleavage. They covered this up in the West. I don't really know why. I guess to make it appeal to more audiences and to try and get rid of the waifu-verse tag in the West, but I mean, this is a Japanese game, so it's going to have Japanese artwork, it's going to have girls with huge breasts, so I mean they've tried to cover it up, but this is still a cause of controversy and a lot of people don't like it, and that's what puts a lot of people off this game. So she's the reason for a lot of controversy in this game. So let's move on from that. The Runecraft class, each time you play a spell as Runecraft, the spell boost cards in your hand become more powerful. Begin the match by casting spells to spell boost your hand and overwhelm your opponent. So this is essentially Mage in Hearthstone. You play a lot of spells, but unlike Hearthstone, the spells you play boost the other cards in your hand. So you have spells that basically have a spell boost effect. Every time you play a spell, it makes this card better. So you can have cards that you start the game off with that are weak, and then as you gradually play the game and you play lots more spells, these cards become very powerful in the late game. So it's a very interesting class. Yeah, it's basically Mage from Hearthstone. It does have one additional feature that's not in other classes, and that's Earthright. So There are amulets that you can play on the board that basically are an earth sigil, and then you have other cards that do more effects. They basically use up the earth sigil and do extra effects. So that's something that's unique to this class. There's not really many decks that are viable that use that at the moment, but it's another interesting thing. They'll probably introduce other sigils like flame sigils and things like that as the expansions go on, but for the moment we've got earth sigil, which is basically like earth spells. Very interesting. So moving on, we've got Dragoncraft, and the avatar is Rowan. So this class has cards that can give you extra play point orbs at the beginning of the match. This lets you play powerful cards before the opponent. In your opening hand, it's best to have cards that give you extra play point orbs, so be sure to redraw if necessary. As you guessed it, this is Ramp Druid, but this is like Ramp Druid on steroids. So this has an effect that happens when you go past 7 play point orbs. So as soon as you hit 7 play point orbs, you basically go into like burst mode. Most of your cards will do additional effects, they'll get more powerful, they'll get better. So once you hit late game, you're very weak in the early game, your cards are very weak, but you have ramp, so you basically have cards that give you extra play point orbs. You play minions, and when you kill it, it gives you an extra play point orb. So you have lots of ways to ramp into the late game, and then when you get in the late game, you become very, very strong. So it's a very interesting class. It's basically like Ramp Druid on steroids, pretty much. Ironically, there is actually a very popular face Dragoncraft deck at the moment, which just completely ignores that mechanic and just goes face, because they have got quite a lot of strong cards. So yeah, that's just another interesting aside. So let's move on. So now we've got Shadowcraft, and the avatar is Luna. This class can activate powerful necromancy effects by spending shadows. Shadows are added to your total whenever you cast spells or when one of your followers or amulets is destroyed. Spend shadows at the right time to control the battlefield. So this class doesn't really have an equivalent in Hearthstone. I guess it's based a lot around death and shadow magic and graveyard, so thematically it's very similar to sort of like Warlock, but it doesn't really have any equivalent in Hearthstone. So this class makes use of an additional resource called shadows. Now every class makes shadows. It's basically your discard pile. Anytime something's killed, anytime you use a spell, it adds 1 shadow. This class has ways to boost the number of shadows you have and also spend them as a resource to make their cards more powerful. So it's quite unique. It's a very interesting class. Like I say, it doesn't really have an equivalent in Hearthstone. So this is Bloodcraft. This is Urius. This is the vampire class. This class has cards that lower your leader's defense. Once your leader has 10 defense or less, Vengeance will activate, strengthening many other cards. Pay attention to the remaining defense of both leaders in order to take advantage of certain card abilities. So, like with Rowan, this class goes into burst mode when you have 10 defense or less. So you play a lot of cards that zerg your own health down so that you get a lot stronger. So in that way it's kind of similar to Warlock again, where you play cards that damage yourself, but it's more similar to like Warrior, where your cards get much more powerful when you go below 10 damage, 10 health. So defense is health basically. So this class is very interesting. It's quite risky to play. It has aggro and control variants. So the aggro variant, you basically want to kill them before you kill yourself. Control, you want to kind of keep your life hovering around the 10 mark. So you have a lot of cards that heal yourself, you have a lot of cards that hurt yourself and then heal yourself back again at a later date. Draw lots of cards, control the board. It's a very interesting class. Very hard to play. And then finally we have Havencraft, and the avatar is Eris. Once the number on countdown amulets reaches 0, the amulet is destroyed. Some countdown amulets summon powerful followers, others have different effects. Countdown amulets can be sped up or destroyed by other cards. So from the offset you might be thinking, oh, this is the priest class. Looks like a priest, uses a lot of healing in the class, so this is priest, but this is nothing like priest. This class is actually strong for one, and healing is kind of a side effect. There is a lot of healing in this class, but it doesn't make the class. What makes this class is that it has a heavy use of amulets, and in particular countdown amulets. So you'll play an amulet on turn 1 or turn 2, and it will have a countdown, and every turn it counts down, and then in 2 or 3 turns time it will summon a very powerful minion or a series of powerful minions. So you basically sacrifice early board control to have a very explosive mid game. Very, very powerful deck. Class, sorry. Very, very powerful class. There's also a lot of healing decks, so control decks. There's also a mid-range healing deck which you simultaneously heal yourself and buff all your minions whenever you get healed. That's reasonably strong, but it can be exploited. So overall it's a very, very interesting class that doesn't really have any equivalent in Hearthstone, in my opinion. I mean, you could say priest, but it's not really like priest at all. You could say paladin because there's a lot of healing, but it's not really anything like paladin. Because it makes heavy use of amulets, there's nothing really in Hearthstone that's equivalent. So that's my basic overview of all the classes and the game modes in Shadowverse and relating it to Hearthstone. I've also tried to pick up on a few of the things that I missed in the previous video, so I hope this helps. See you next time.